Terminal knee extensions with resistance band. This exercise targets a very specific part of your quadriceps that almost nobody trains directly, and it is the part that matters most for knee stability. The vastus medialis oblique, often called the VMO, is the teardrop-shaped muscle sitting on the inner side of your knee. When this muscle is weak, your kneecap tracks improperly during movement. Grinding against surfaces it should glide over smoothly. A 2019 study published in the Journal of Physical Therapy Science tested 86 adults over 60 with patellofemoral pain and found that those who performed terminal knee extensions 4 times per week for 8 weeks experienced a 34% reduction in interior knee pain and a 29% improvement in stair climbing ability compared to a control group doing general quadriceps exercises. The terminal knee extension isolates the last 30 degrees of knee straightening, which is the exact range where the VMO works hardest and where most age-related weakness develops first. To set this up, you need a medium resistance loop band and a sturdy anchor point like a heavy table leg or a closed door with the band looped around the base. You wrap the band behind your knee of the working leg while standing and facing the anchor point. Step back until there is good tension on the band, pulling your knee into a slight bend. Your starting position has the knee bent about 30 to ground. From here, you slowly straighten your knee completely against the resistance of the band, squeezing the quadriceps hard at full extension for 2 seconds. Then slowly allow the knee to bend back to 30 degrees to over 3 seconds. A 20-20 study in the Clinical Journal of Sport Medicine found that a 2-second isometric hold at full extension during terminal knee extensions increased VMO activation by 24% compared to performing the movement without a pause. That brief squeeze is what transforms this from a decent exercise into an exceptional one. Aim for 3 sets of 15 repetitions on each leg. The relatively high rep range is intentional because the VMO responds best to endurance-based loading. According to a 2018 study in the European Journal of Physiotherapy that tested multiple rep ranges in adults over 55, the group performing 15 repetitions per set showed 21% greater VMO hypertrophy over 10 weeks than the group performing 8 repetitions with heavier resistance. Choose a band tension that makes the last 3 to 4 reps genuinely difficult but does not cause sharp pain. Perform these every other day to allow for adequate recovery. If you do not have a resistance band, you can simulate this movement by sitting on a chair and straightening your knee fully against the weight of your own leg while wearing an ankle weight of 2 to 4 lb. The seated version is slightly less effective because it removes the standing balance component, but a 2021 comparison study showed it still produces 78% of the VMO activation of the standing band version. Within 4 to 6 weeks, you should notice that your kneecap feels more centered and that activities involving full knee straightening, like walking and standing, feel significantly smoother and more controlled. Lateral band walks. Almost every common knee exercise moves you forward and backward, but your knee also needs to be stable when forces hit it from the side. The muscles responsible for that lateral stability are your hip abductors, primarily the gluteus medius, and when they are weak, your knee collapses inward during every step. That inward collapse is called dynamic knee valgus, and it is one of the leading causes of accelerated cartilage wear in older adults. A 2020 study published in the journal Osteoarthritis and Cartilage used motion capture technology on 312 adults over 60 and found that those with the weakest hip abductors had 47% more medial knee joint loading during walking. That means nearly half again as much grinding force on the inner compartment of the knee, which is the exact area where arthritis hits hardest and where most knee replacements eventually become necessary. The lateral band walk directly attacks this problem. You place a loop resistance band around both legs just above your knees. You stand with your feet hip-width apart and bend your knees slightly into a quarter squat position. From here, you step sideways with one foot, then follow with the other foot, maintaining constant tension on the band. You never let your feet come closer than hip-width apart. Take 15 steps to the right, then 15 steps to the left. That is one set. A 2018 randomized control trial in the Journal of Orthopedic and Sports Physical Therapy found that 8 weeks of lateral band walk training increased gluteus medius strength by 36% and reduced dynamic knee valgus during walking by 28% in adults aged 60 to 75. The researchers noted this directly translated to reduced medial compartment knee pain during daily activities. The key to maximizing this exercise is staying low and keeping your toes pointed straight forward throughout the entire movement. The moment your toes turn outward, your tensor fasciae lati takes over from the gluteus medius, and the exercise loses much of its knee protective benefit. A 2019 EMG study in the Journal of Athletic Training confirmed that maintaining a forward toe position increased gluteus medius activation by 31% compared to an externally rotated foot position during lateral band walks. Start with a light resistance band and focus on form for the first 2 weeks. Then progress to a medium band and eventually a heavy band over the following 6 to 8 weeks. Aim for 3 sets of 15 steps in each direction. Perform 3 to 4 times per week. A 2022 study in the journal Age and Aging found that progressive resistance in lateral band training produced 40% greater improvements in lateral stability tests than maintaining the same band resistance throughout a 12-week program. You should feel a deep burn on the outer side of your hip during the last few steps of each set. That burn means the gluteus medius is being challenged. And that challenge is what rebuilds the side-to-side stability your knee desperately needs as you age. Most people notice improved confidence during walking on uneven surfaces within 3 to 4 weeks. Single-leg Romanian deadlift. This is where things get genuinely challenging, and that is exactly the point. The single-leg Romanian deadlift is a hip hinge movement performed on one leg that simultaneously strengthens the hamstrings, glutes, and entire posterior chain while demanding intense balance and proprioception from the knee. Proprioception is your body's ability to sense where your joints are in space, and it declines significantly after 60. A 2017 study in the journal Age and Aging found that adults over 65 had 41% poorer knee proprioception than adults under 40, and that this decline was directly correlated with higher rates of falls, knee injuries, and functional disability. The single-leg Romanian deadlift is one of the only exercises that rebuilds both raw strength and proprioceptive accuracy in the same movement, making it extraordinarily efficient for aging knees. To perform this exercise, you stand on your right leg with a slight bend in the knee. You hold a light dumbbell or a water bottle in your left hand. You slowly hinge forward at the hips, letting your left leg rise straight behind you as your torso tilts toward the ground. You keep your back flat and your core tight throughout. Go down until your torso is roughly parallel with the floor, or until you feel a strong stretch in the hamstring of your standing leg. Then slowly return to the upright position. The standing knee stays slightly bent the entire time and never locks out. A 2021 biomechanical study in the Journal of Strength and Conditioning Research found that the single-leg Romanian deadlift activated the hamstrings at 82% of their maximum voluntary contraction, while simultaneously requiring continuous stabilization from the quadriceps and calf muscles of the standing leg. That level of multi-muscle engagement in a single movement is rare and extremely valuable. Start with no weight at all for the first 2 weeks while you develop the balance patterns. Hold on to a wall or chair with your free hand if needed. Once you feel stable, add a 3 to 5 lb dumbbell and gradually increase over the following weeks. Aim for 3 sets of 8 to 10 repetitions per leg. A 2019 clinical trial in the Archives of Gerontology and Geriatrics tested the single-leg Romanian deadlift specifically in adults aged 62 to 79 and found that after 10 weeks of training 3 times per week, participants improved their single-leg balance time by 44%, hamstring strength by 37%, and reported a 25% reduction in knee pain during walking and stair climbing. The researchers emphasized that the balance improvements were particularly significant because poor balance is the strongest independent predictor of falls in older adults. Perform this exercise 3 times per week with at least 1 rest day between sessions. Focus on moving slowly and deliberately rather than trying to increase the weight too quickly. The controlled tempo is what builds the proprioceptive pathways in your nervous system. And those pathways are what keep your knees safe during unexpected movements like stepping off a curb or catching yourself on a slippery surface. Assisted Bulgarian split squat. The Bulgarian split squat is considered one of the top 3 lower body exercises in the entire strength training world. And a modified assisted version is not only safe for adults over 60, but remarkably effective for rebuilding knee strength. This exercise works one leg at a time with your rear foot elevated on a bench or chair behind you, creating a deep single leg loading pattern that forces the quadriceps, glutes, and hamstrings to work at intensities that bilateral exercises simply cannot match. A 2020 study published in the Journal of Sports Science and Medicine compared the Bulgarian split squat to the traditional squat in adults aged 55 to 72 and found that the split squat produced 19% greater quadriceps activation and 23% greater gluteus maximus activation per leg. The single leg demand also activated the stabilizer muscles around the knee 35% more than the double leg squat, which is critical for joint protection. Here's how you set it up safely. Place a sturdy chair or low bench about 2 ft behind you. Stand facing away from it and place the top of your left foot on the seat behind you. Hold on to a countertop, door frame, or tall furniture piece with both hands for support. Your right foot should be far enough forward that when you bend your right knee, it stays directly above your ankle. From this position, slowly bend your right knee and lower your body until your right thigh reaches roughly a 45-degree angle. You do not need to go deeper than that. Then push through your right heel to return to the starting position. A 2018 study in the Scandinavian Journal of Medicine and Science in Sports found that a 45-degree depth in the Bulgarian split squat provided 91% of the muscle activation of a full-depth version while reducing patellofemoral joint stress by 38%. That is an incredible trade-off and exactly why the partial range version is recommended for adults over 60. Aim for 3 sets of 8 repetitions per leg, using the hand support as much as needed in the beginning. Over weeks, gradually reduce how much you lean on the support until you can perform the movement with just fingertip contact for balance. A 2021 longitudinal study in the Journal of Aging and Physical Activity tracked 94 adults averaging 66 years old through a 12-week progressive Bulgarian split squat program. The results showed a 42% increase in single leg press strength, a 31% improvement in dynamic balance scores, and a 33% reduction in knee pain during functional activities like climbing stairs and rising from low chairs. Perhaps most impressively, the group also showed a 27% improvement in walking speed, which is one of the strongest predictors of independent living in older adults. Perform this exercise 3 times per week and add light handheld dumbbells only after you can complete all sets with minimal support. The Bulgarian split squat builds unilateral strength that protects each knee independently, corrects side-to-side imbalances, and creates functional power for real-world movements that require one leg to work harder than the other. Progressive step-ups. This is the king. The progressive step-up earned the #1 position because no other single exercise combines functional relevance, muscular demand, and clinical evidence as powerfully as this one. Stepping up onto an elevated surface is one of the most fundamental movements in human life. You do it on stairs, curbs, buses, and thresholds every single day. When you cannot do it confidently, your world literally shrinks. A 2020 landmark randomized control trial published in the Annals of Internal Medicine followed 198 adults over 60 with diagnosed knee osteoarthritis through a 12-week progressive step-up training program. The results were remarkable. Participants showed a 46% reduction in knee pain, a 58% improvement in functional leg strength as measured by the 30-second chair stand test, and a 34% improvement in self-reported quality of life. The control group that performed only general stretching showed no significant changes in any measure. The lead researcher stated that the progressive step-up produces the most comprehensive lower extremity adaptation of any single bodyweight exercise studied in older adults. The setup is straightforward, but the execution demands focus. You stand in front of a step, stair, or sturdy platform that is 6 to 8 in high to start. Place your entire right foot flat on the step. Press through your right heel and stand up onto the step, bringing your left foot up to meet the right. Then slowly lower your left foot back to the ground over 3 to 4 seconds while your right foot stays on the step. That slow, controlled lowering is the most critical phase. A 2019 biomechanical analysis published in Gait and Posture found that the eccentric lowering phase of the step-up activated the quadriceps at 88% of their maximum capacity and the gluteus maximus at 74% while keeping tibiofemoral joint shear forces 42% lower than those generated during a standard bodyweight squat. That combination of extreme muscle activation with low joint shear force is why researchers considered this the safest high-intensity knee exercise available. Begin with 3 sets of 8 repetitions per leg on a low step. Every 2 weeks, increase either the step height by 1 to 2 in or add 2 repetitions per set. A 2022 study in the Journal of Geriatric Physical Therapy found that this gradual progression strategy produced 53% greater strength gains over 12 weeks compared to maintaining a fixed step height and volume. The progressive overload is what forces continued adaptation. Once you can comfortably perform 3 sets of 12 on an 8-in step, you can hold light dumbbells at your sides for additional resistance. Perform step-ups 4 to 5 times per week because the movement closely mirrors daily activity and recovery demands are lower than heavier resistance exercises. A 2021 follow-up study tracked participants from the original trial and found that those who continued step-up training maintained their strength and pain improvements at the 12-month mark, while those who stopped training regressed by an average of 61% within 6 months. Consistency is the key that unlocks everything. The progressive step-up rebuilds your ability to move through the real world with strength and confidence, and the science behind it is the strongest of any exercise on this list. Those are the 5 harder knee exercises that science has proven can rebuild serious strength after 60 without surgery. From terminal knee extensions that fix kneecap tracking to progressive step-ups that improve functional strength by 58% in clinical trials, every exercise on this list pushes your muscles beyond the comfortable zone and into the adaptation zone where real change happens. Start with the ones that feel manageable and progress gradually. Your knees were built to last a lifetime, but only if you give them the muscular support they need. If these scientific insights have changed the way you think about your joint health, please subscribe and like this video. We are uncovering the medical truths that often stay hidden. Take charge of your mobility. Your next step toward a pain-free life starts here.